a Conservation Commission. I'll put this open to discussion.
Sure. So I know we gotten some recommendation. I just wanted to note that sometimes I like to look at applications that maybe have been sitting longer. And so I just wanted to put out there that Creighton Silsby was someone that had applied. I did have a conversation with him a couple times about his interest in the board. He's been patiently waiting to be appointed, but I also, this is the only committee that he applied to. And I don't know, I know that Christine Larrabee, this is the only committee that she applied to as well. And the other recommendation, Garrick Campbell. And so I think we have so many great applications. I think the
Yes.
only thing I'm going to throw out there is, sometimes when someone's application is sitting there for a long time, it's sometimes good to get them involved, no matter what. I don't know the difference between, I know that Christine is on the Scarborough Land Trust, Creighton volunteers for it, both very active in the community. And so I didn't know if there was a consideration to possibly put him on there. Because it looks like one of the recommendations we have is from a resident who just submitted an application, and I'm not saying that's wrong. I just personally don't like having good applications sitting there for a long time.
Yeah, that's a legitimate point.
And so that's why I was recommending Creighton, also because I want to acknowledge that he, specifically had a conversation with me about the interest in that, as did Christine Larrabee.
And the person who has moved into town most recently is
Right, so that's a new resident.
is who?
The Carrick
Campbell.
Yeah.
Okay. Corey, any thoughts on this?
I think those are good points. I think, given that, it might suggest that we consider Creighton Silsby as the alternate instead of Carrick Gamble.
Yep, so I think I'll just go ahead, and I think what my recommendation would be to appoint Christine Larrabee as the first alternate, and then have Creighton Silsby as the second alternate, and then move up the other alternates as
I think that's
dictated.
sort of what I was trying to say.
Okay.
I think you did a better job.
So the motion is to appoint Kate Bordewitz as a full voting member with a term to expire 2026, Kirsty Mauer, a full voting member, term to expire 2027, and the first alternate would be
Christine Larrabee.
Christine Larrabee, and the 2026 expiration, and the second alternate,
Would be the Creighton Silsby as the,
Creighton Silsby,
Yep.
expiration 2027.
I'll second that.
Is that your motion?
Yes.
Oh, was that a motion?
And
Second.
Yes.
And you're seconding
Yes.
that motion. Good. Discussion.
No, I appreciate the discussion.
Good.
Good.
No further discussion. All in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you for that. That, I think, will sit well with somebody who's been sitting on the sideline. The next item on our appointments and negotiations committee worksheet is a planning board. There is one vacancy, first alternate due to a member moving to a different town. We have applications from Carrick Campbell, David Bork, Kevin Ferry, Leroy Crockett, Peter Freilinger, and William Sedlak. Staff recommendation to appoint William Sedlak due to his background and experience. The further recommendation moved to appoint Tyler Davis as first alternate with a term to expire 2027, and William Sedlak as second alternate with a term to expire 2026. Does that make sense? That the second alternate's term expires? That's right, yeah.
Because I think it's like an existing term that they're filling in.
Okay.
When we bump that person up, they take that term of like the first alternate, the second alternate,
Right.
whatever that term, I
Okay.
think that stays the same no matter what. And so
And
that
in
has
this case, Autumn Spear has recommended this. Discussion.
Sure, yeah, I mean, Autumn has the pulse of the planning board, so
Yeah.
I always appreciate her recommendations. I will note that it's great to have so many applications. It's also great that we have applications for people who are actually already serving on boards. So it's great. So they already are on some boards, so it's great to get someone new involved. And I think, as we all know, planning board is a very technical type of board, and it can be quite a learning curve if you're coming from a background like I was with not a lot of experience.
Yes.
And so I think it's important to have someone who comes in, I think, kind of understanding what their role is.
And that seems to be what Autumn's recommendation is based on, is this gentleman has both background and experience to support his application. Further discussion? Seeing none, I'll accept the motion.
So I am moving to appoint Tyler Davis as the first alternate with a term to expire in 2027, and appoint William Sedlak as a second alternate with a term to expire in 2026.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. The third item on the Appointments and Negotiations Committee agenda is the Scarborough Housing Alliance. There is one vacancy, and it is for a full voting member. The following applications have been submitted. Stannis Moody Roberts and Stefan Zemurowski. The staff recommendation from the town manager is to appoint Stephen Zemurowski. Discussion.
Sure, so you might not remember, but I was actually pushing for Stephen last round because of his environmental background. And that I think I very much support this, and I appreciate the recommendation coming from Tom, because I think you guys know, and what part I was looking for was to have that sort of aspect brought to the housing conversation as someone who's just thinking about the environment strictly. Not strictly, but I mean, who really has that in mind. And Steve recently joined the Parks and Conservation Land Board, and he's been a great addition.
Oh.
And he's very motivated, very organized. He's really done good on that group. So I think he would do really well with the Housing Alliance and the work that they're doing.
Great. Further discussion?
I agree, and I also appreciate having someone who's coming from sort of primarily a conservation perspective, having a seat at the table for housing, and as a a housing champion on the council. I think it's important to have that be as kind of broadly representative as possible. There certainly are members on the Housing Alliance currently who are great, who really are in that world, and they're actively housing advocates, and they work in that industry, which I think is very valuable. But I think will also be helpful to have someone with a little different perspective as well, and hopefully, as I said, kind of keep everybody at the table. Stephen has a really well-rounded background of volunteer work and professional work, as you saw, including Habitat for Humanity. So I fully support this.
Good. Further discussion? Seeing none, I'll accept the motion.
I will move to appoint Stephen Zemurowski as a full voting member with a term to expire in 2025.
I'll second.
Yep. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. Almost looked like we knew what we were doing. Very good. And we got a short wait now.
Do we do a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor? We are adjourned.
Great.
That was good.